Hello everyone, welcome to Kitchen Table Creativity. I'm Donna Leffler and I'm going to paint this adorable whimsical little baby lamb today with you. It's a very beginner friendly project, as all of the projects that I do are, and I'm going to show you step by step how to create this. Before we dive in, I'm going to show you the supplies that I've used, and I always like to trace. I say this in every video pretty much. It's totally fine to trace the basic image onto your paper. And the way you do that is you get waxless carbon paper and you put it face down like this, and then you put the image over it, and you can use a stylus or a pencil or any edged tool, and you just basically press down and go over the different areas. It's very simple to do, so I'm not going to take time right now to show you any more of how to do that. I'm going to show you the rest of my supplies that I'm using. I have a very simple journal here for painting with watercolors. It's very inexpensive. It's spiral bound, it lays flat, and it also has a scored edge here so I can tear it out very easily. I think that this little lamb would be so cute, maybe even hanging in a child's room or nursery, or just giving a friend a card. You could do it on the front of a watercolor paper card, and I think it would brighten up anyone's day. So as far as the colors in this, I've developed a little color palette here, and if you're not getting my Creative Heart journal every week, you can sign up for free. There's a link in the description, and I have different color palettes every week in there for the different tutorials, and so I just name them fun names, but you can use any cream color. This is a light blue. This is like a sort of a dark pink, and then really any green and more of a golden yellow will do. So, and you can mix your paints to achieve these. You can use different colors if you want to, and I might even add a little gold paint. I like sometimes to add something a little bit different, and I can see gold in this image, and so I'm thinking maybe I'll add a little bit of that. Other than that, I have these Japanese watercolor paints, and again, a link is in the description. I'm going to use a pink and a gray. And then I have this yellow and this yellow. I might mix them, I might just use one. I'm going to see how that goes. I have the blue, which I will probably mix with the gray. And then I have this green. Again, use whatever you have on hand. There is no right or wrong way with watercolor. I like to use a ceramic palette. That way I can mix my paints and add water to them. I have a water spray bottle, which I like to spray my paints and get them ready to be used with just plain water. The brushes I'm going to use, pretty much I always use these same ones, a 5 and a 2 round brush. These are really small. I like to work on small projects because I can finish them within an hour or even sometimes a half hour. It just makes it a lot easier. I have 3 jars of clean water here. And I'm also going to finish my drawing with some markers. These are permanent ink fine tip micron pens, and I usually use a 05 and then a 005 to sign my work. And I have this Sharpie paint pen, which is white, and I might use that or not. I also have a white roller ball. I'm not sure if I'm going to want to add more white or not. You know, I like to just work along, and if I do see that I might need that, I will use those. Okay, so that's it for the supply list. I have some good lighting here, and I'm going to go ahead and trace my drawing now, and I'll be right back. So as you can see, I have the basic shape. I did not draw in every single detail, just the main elements. And what's really great when you trace your image onto your paper is it will be centered right. You don't have to worry about erasing and going back over things. But by all means, this would be super easy to hand draw just on your own without, just to freehand it without tracing. So if you don't have tracing paper, you don't want to trace it, it's really just a couple of round ovals, you know, and then the little tuft on his head. His ears are ovals, and then some stick legs. So very simple shapes. Now the way that I'm going to start, I'm going to mix some of this cream color, and I'm not going to make him really white. I probably will leave some areas white, but I'm going to water this down a lot so it becomes a very, very light cream. And I'm going to start by just painting the entire body this light color. And I'm using my bigger brush, which is a number 5. Again, use whatever you have on hand. And if you go a little bit outside the lines, totally no big deal. And this is just giving him a basic wash. This is what we call a wash, when we water the paint down, very thin, very light, and just cover all the different areas. And you can leave some areas with white, and that's totally fine, and we'll probably even add interest. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this gray. That's my brush. And I'm also going to take a little blue, put that in 2 different areas here on my palette. And I'm trying to achieve like a bluish gray color, so I'm going to just put a little of each and see what I can come up with. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that it's always good to have a scrap of watercolor paper on hand just to test your paints and see what they look like. Now that looks pretty dark, so I'm going to add more water. I'm going to use this just for the shadows on his body, and so I like that lighter grayish blue. And so now what I'm going to do is just add some of this, just to add kind of some texture to his body. It's good to have the initial wash pretty dry. It's pretty warm here today where I live, and so I'm not too worried about waiting a long time for my layers to dry, because when it's warm like this, they dry pretty quick, especially if you're using all cotton watercolor paper. It tends to dry faster. So I'm just going to kind of blend this a little bit, not, again, get too worried about it being any kind of extreme details. And add a little bit to his tuft of fur or hair, wool on the top of his head. A little bit to his ears. And I can see this is already drying. And then I am going to rinse again. And I'm going to take some of this little bit darker yellow, just a tiny bit of it, and I'm going to mix it with that original cream color. And again, make it pretty light. I want him to still look like he's a light color lamb, not having a lot of dark colors in here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this in between. And then I'm going to go back again, because this is almost dry, and I'm going to add a little bit of darker of this gray color onto his legs. I want his legs to be a little bit darker. You know, it's also good. I usually just keep a paper towel on my work area to not only protect it, but so that I can just blot my brush when I need to. And like sometimes you get too much water, you want to just blot your brush and lift it off if you have too much water. And, you know, I'm obviously probably a sheep isn't going to have very much blue in its fur, but I'm adding this mainly for interest, just to add a little bit of depth and whimsy. Now, as you're doing this, if you see some edges that look a little harsh, you can always smooth them out with water. Just dip your brush in clean water. Just make sure you don't add too much water, or you might end up having to blot it off, which is okay too. Okay, I like the way that this has turned out, and I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to add, I'm actually switching to my very small brush, and I'm going to put some of this pink color. Again, watering it very down. These are quite pastel-like colors, and so we want them to be very watered down. And that is even a little too dark for me. Yeah, that's better. Now what I'm going to do with this very, very watered down pink is I'm going to add some pink to his ears. I'm going to grab some of the darker for his nose. And back to the very much lighter. And I'm going to add some rosy cheeks. And this, I like this to, when I do this kind of thing, just be very, very light. Just kind of cute and whimsical. So I can rinse my brush and even make this a little bit lighter. Just wanted a faint color. So I can lift off a little bit more. Okay, so now I am pretty happy with the lamb the way he is. I'm going to use the markers to add his eyes and the hoofs of his feet. And I'm going to outline him also with markers. So I'm going to leave him the way he is as far as paint. And I'm going to now work on the grass. So for the grass, I'm just going to stay with this smaller brush. It really doesn't matter so much. And I'm going to water it way down again. And I'm just going to do like a very light wash along the ground area where he's at. This does not have to be perfect by any means. I have my window open and the neighbors are visiting next door, so you might be able to hear them if you hear voices in the background. Okay, and then I'm gonna just use a dark green kind of straight out of this palette to add some wisps of grass. And this is the kind of thing, it's just good to kind of freehand again, not worry too much about it being perfect. And just use quick strokes, very light, barely touching. Okay, so that I am pretty happy with the way that that's turned out. I think I will add just a touch of gray here. Again, watering it way down. And I'm going to add this gray just ever so slightly to the grass areas where he's standing. Blending it with some water. Again, just to add a little bit of depth to that and interest, to break up the color just a little tiny bit. Now, at this point, you want to make sure that everything is really dry. It's so warm here today in this room that my paints are really, really dry already. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to take a 08. This is a thicker permanent black pen, and I'm going to use that to fill in his hooves on his feet. Now, if you have some black paint that you would rather use, you can use that, which is totally fine. When I teach these lessons, I really like to use a 5 color, maybe 6 color palette, just so it doesn't get too overwhelming. And so I don't usually include black. Sometimes I do. Maybe a dark brown. I mean, you could really use whatever you have on hand as a darker color for this would work. But I find one of the things that I really like about this method of watercolor sketching is what it's called, is that, you know, it looks okay the way it is. The pencil lines are showing from my tracing. And so it's actually easier now to go ahead and go over those lines with a black pen. So I'm going to switch now to my 05 micron permanent black pen. And I'm just going to outline his entire body. And it's good to do this with a really light touch, like almost like a sketching motion. You can try different things. It's kind of fun to, you know, make extra lines sometimes. Do that. Make them lighter, make them darker. And it's good to leave just a little bit of white in his eye. And if that didn't work for you, you could always go back with a white pen and add that little white dot. Well, I think we'll give her some eyelashes. I'm going to add a little bit of black to these wisps of grass. And when you're at this point on your drawing, you just kind of look at it and see maybe where it needs a little bit more dark or a little bit light. You can always add white with the pens. You can always go over a few of these lines. And this was a really simple project. I really like the way this is coming out so easily. It's almost finished. It's always good to kind of just take a little step back, see, am I missing anything? Did I miss any areas? And if it looks good to you, then you're done. And I always say you should sign your work. I like to sign my work on the lower right corner. I just put my initials, and I always put the year. And I use a 005 very fine tip pen to do that because I like my initials to be really light. It's good to put the year so you can track your progress. And I see a little area here I wanted to add to. And there you go. Your spring cute little baby lamb is ready to give to someone, or to just hang up in your home, or to just include in your sketchbook. You know, if you enjoyed this project, I would absolutely love for you to subscribe to my channel here. It's really a brand new channel. I'm just getting started with it. I would love for you to be a part of that. And I do a monthly, once a month free workshop. You can attend that totally for free, just to get to know each other and to support other women, especially in their artistic, creative journey. Everyone is creative. If you're saying, oh, I don't know if I could do that, please just join us. Join my Facebook group, and you can come in there and take a look around and see what other people are working on. And by all means, please send me your work. If you have anything that you've completed, I love it when people take pictures of their work and send it to me. So please follow me, and I will continue to create the weekly Creative Heart Journal, which is totally free. It's delivered by email on Friday. It's a digital flip book. It has ideas in there and little stories that I write. And in there is always a link to the YouTube tutorial of the week, and they are usually seasonally themed. I really enjoy doing that. Okay, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video.